If you have thought about writing a book but don't know where to start, today's show is for you. Welcome to another edition of Heads Over Heels. I'm Angela Sedran, and today we have an incredible guest for you, Elle Neal. Elle is a published author. She has worked with 27 authors herself. She's edited books. She is an absolute genius when it comes to writing and publishing. And she's actually in the process of putting together a program to help people write their own books. Elle, welcome.
Thank you so much, Angela. It's lovely to have a chance to chat to you.
It's my pleasure. I'm in absolute awe of you. I don't think I write badly, but I just don't enjoy it. So I am amazed how anybody can write a book. Tell us a little bit how you started on this journey.
I wanted to be about 8 years old, and it was just the thing that I was so focused on doing from then until I started when I was in my teens. And I've been writing for about 20 years and editing for almost 20 years. And I just love the whole process, and recently became a publisher as well. So I've learned the process from start to finish and can help others to do that as well.
And of course, it seems to be becoming so much more popular for people to write books and publish them. Would you say that it's available to everybody now if they wanted to?
Yes, it's so much easier these days. There's so many different options for people these days. We've got print-on-demand publishing, which has just changed the whole industry. It's made it so much easier. You can publish a book in a weekend. If you've got your material ready, you can upload the files, have a printed proof in your hands in a couple of days. You can okay that proof and send for a whole box full of books, and you've got books ready for a launch within 10 days. It's as easy as that.
Well, I'm keen to talk to you a little bit more about this, because I know a lot of our audience, coaches and consultants, they're women who have started their business because they have a mission and a purpose. They want to make a difference. They're very good at what they do. And of course, everybody has some sort of a story, even though they don't necessarily think they do. But not
Absolutely.
everybody. Yeah. And I know that a lot of them have been recommended this concept of writing a book, but it's a daunting idea. You know, the idea of actually sitting down or locking yourself in a cabin for 6 months and bashing out a novel or a magnum opus that's a nonfiction is really difficult. So I would love to talk to you today about how does one actually go about writing a book and publishing it.
Again, there are so many options. Books can be as short as 40,000 words or even less. So people don't expect huge, big tomes these days. It doesn't have to be long, and it doesn't have to be full of text. It can be, you can have illustrations in there as well to break things up a little bit and make it your personality. If your personality is not to write long swathes of text, then you can do all sorts of different things. A lot of women who are online and sharing on, they already have a lot of content out there. So every video that you make, every blog post you write, even short little Instagram reels, you can capture all of that, transcribe it, and start to sort it out into your message that you want to share. And another thing is to keep it to one topic. So you don't have to put everything in there. It's just sharing an idea and putting it into a book.
Well, that makes a big difference to me, because I'd never really considered peppering my writing in a book with images or some sort of, that makes a big difference. I also like the idea of really bringing your personality through.
The thing with women contributing to the publishing industry, we've got so many books written by men, and great books, great business books, but we need women's voices in here as well, because women have a unique need to share their own stories and their own strategies. And I mean, we have things from menstruation to menopause and childcare and things like that happen in business where in day-to-day lives. If women can share that with each other and share their strategies, it'll be a game changer for women's contribution to business as well.
Yeah.
So just sharing our stories in format is so important.
So I have this book, Becoming a Badass, a Fearless Woman's Guide to Starting a Business. And this actually is part of a collection of stories. So I'm not the only person who's written in this book. I struggled to write this. What I originally did was I spoke it and then I transcribed that and I edited it. And it actually amazed me as to how differently I speak compared to write. But that for me was a good starting point. I would really love to do another book on exactly how women can now start transitioning into their own business, given how much easier it is to start a business these days and how you can essentially market your business to every corner of the globe. I've just picked up a new client in Curacao, of all places. Where on earth 20 years ago would we have been able to do that running our own business and be able to service them? And that for me is really, really exciting. My mission is to help 1 million women achieve financial freedom. Part of me feels, even though it scares the living daylights out of me writing a book, that by doing this and just making this accessible to people and to other women, that potentially it could help some women somewhere, some corner of the globe, to actually start her own business and achieve that financial freedom. But I don't quite know where to start. What advice would you give me or any other woman out there who says, look, I think I've got something I want to share with the world, but where do I start?
So if you know a specific topic that you want to share, a good way to start is your good old brainstorming diagrams and post-it notes, and even put together a PowerPoint presentation as if you're going to go and speak on your topic. That's a really good way to sort out my thoughts, because I want to have this presentation all sorted out, and use those as your headings and a table of contents. So the slides that you would put together for a presentation can become a table of contents in a book. Right. And then it's just a case of going through your content you've already produced on the topic and putting together all the common themes and see if any of that slots in there, and just add it all in and see what you've got. And then you can fill in the gaps. You've got so much of that content already there, you'll fill in the gaps. Before you know it,
wow, does make it sound quite easy.
Pretty good, ready to go.
Yeah, I could create like a framework and then start populating areas of it. That I can do, that I'm comfortable with.
It doesn't have to be hard.
Right. And then of course we've got people like you who can then edit the book and make sure that it all flows, that the language is good. That would be something that you would be able to help me with?
Yes, and I can also teach your VA how to do that for you. So
really?
That's another angle that I approach with the courses, is if someone has a trusted VA, that person can become an author's assistant and a publishing assistant and do all the background work and help out in that way as well, which also saves you time. If your VA has some good English skills and editing skills and proofreading skills, then they can also learn to help you through that process.
I really like that. I just met a young woman, Christine, like me, is a single mother. She's had domestic violence. She's managed to literally climb out of being a very low income earner to being able to position herself to earn more income and take care of her family. And I really love the idea of being able to upskill a VA, also to earn, not just to help me, but to earn more and really helping those women in those parts of the world. So I think that's incredible.
Yeah, and that's also what I was aiming for when I added that to the course, is the option for a business owner to help their VA out by paying on behalf of the VA. So there are two options where a VA can go in and do it herself, or the person that she's working for can pay for that part of the course for her. And I think it's a really good way of collaborating with different people as well.
Sounds really fantastic. That's definitely something I'm going to look into. All right, so let's assume that I've now gotten to the point where I've got a book that's publishable, but then I've got this manuscript. What do I do with it? Where do I go next?
I get a lot of whether people think it's better to self-publish or traditional publish. There's so many options for us these days, but it also does depend on three main criteria. It depends what your book looks like or what you want it to look like. If you're producing a coffee table, beautiful photographic book, or a recipe book where you need to have good quality photographs, or a children's picture book where you want like a silk finished paper, print on demand doesn't go to that level of quality just yet. Although the black and white and ordinary business books look really good, so the paper quality on print on demand is better than traditional publishing for black and white books. So you would need to think about what type of book you're producing. And if you are needing more glossy and nicer looking book, then you would want to try and submit that to a traditional publisher. In Australia, they do like people to have an agent. In a lot of other countries like England and America, you can quite often submit directly to a publisher, especially the smaller publishers, and they will look at you without a literary agent. And it's just a case of pitching to a publisher and agent the same way you would pitch any other business topic. You would put together a proposal and sample chapters and make it as appealing as possible. And it also helps who you know and getting to know people and getting into meetings with them or events where you might be able to meet a publisher or an agent, and they would ask you to send them part of your manuscript to have a look at. If your book is black and white and it's straightforward, then print on demand self-publishing is a very easy option. As I said, you can upload files in a couple of days and it'll be printed. Print on demand has a range of preset sizes and looks. If you choose one of those, you're good to go. A third option is to go to your local printer and work with them to print a book to your specifications, but that usually works out to be more expensive per copy. The second consideration is how timely your content is and how much it changes. So with traditional publishing, it takes a good year before your book is on the shelves, because there are so many different departments that have to go through all their different processes, and all the launch process and all of that takes months and months and months. So if your topic is going to be out of date in a year's time, then it's going to be very very difficult to firstly interest a publisher and then to actually have it be relevant by the time it comes out.
Right.
And if things change a lot, it's really nice as a self-publisher to be able to quickly access your files, make the changes and hit upload again, and it's done. So only people who've already bought the book will have the old edition, and you can put out constantly new edition. Is really good if you're in a fast-moving industry. And then the third consideration is whether you are the type of person who wants somebody to hold your hand and help you through the process and tell you what to do, when to write the book and when to have it done by. Just submit it and we'll do all the rest. That's a really good traditional process. Whereas a lot of business people have become very much wanting to be in control of a process like that, and not wanting to hand that power over anymore. People who've come from corporate and are sick of having to have worked for people and changed anything and everything just because somebody else said they don't like it that way, they want it done differently. The market's not going to like that, so you've got to do what they say. If that doesn't suit your personality, then it would be much better to self-publish and be completely in control of that whole process.
What would be I can hear the benefit of going with a publishing house is that they would take care of most of the things, including, I'm assuming, the marketing of the book. Takes a lot longer. They take a lot more control of the process and of the book. There must be benefits to it that outweigh sometimes publishing on your own. I'm imagining that's got something to do with marketing and promoting the book.
Yes, so they have a lot of clout behind them. They, especially if you're going with one of the big four publishers, they have a lot more advertising dollars behind them. If they see you as an author who is marketable, then they will push a lot of advertising behind that. Unfortunately, they do sometimes have a lot of authors who fall in the gaps, who aren't as attractive to their audience, and those authors unfortunately bear the brunt of being sidelined. I hear a lot of traditionally published authors saying they have been left to do their own marketing and put their own money behind advertising and marketing. It's very much a very old school industry where authors are just producers of content and are pretty much used by publishers. If you do get that big budget behind you, it does really boost your career, but it is quite hard to get that from your publishers.
Sounds a bit like a factory.
I believe it can be, yes.
Am I wrong to say that you would recommend that we would self-publish if possible?
I would recommend, if possible, yes, especially to start off with. But if you are making a book that has to be a specific style and it's not going to work any other way, then submit to a traditional publisher. The other type of person I would say should submit to a traditional publisher is somebody who has always dreamt of being traditionally published, and being self-published would not do it for them. They would be disappointed and they would be upset with themselves for not having tried to become a traditionally published author. Go with your gut and your heart. Also think with your head, because there are pros and cons, and self-publishing is really such a fast way to get a book out there these days.
Well, you've convinced me. I need to create a structure, fill in the blanks, get someone to edit it for me. Even my VA can do that because you can help us with that, and then potentially self-publish. How would I market it? Through
social media, there are a lot of options, and marketing through newsletters where readers sign up, these mass mailing options, and it's a really good way to promote your book through them, either at a discount or free books. And so if you're trying to sell a course on the back end of your book as well, that's a really good way to promote it and market it, is by having the book available for free for a while.
That's a really good idea. One of the things I've noticed a recent trend is this trend around subscription boxes, and there's particularly ones aimed at women in business. I'm thinking obviously aloud for my own business, but would it be worth getting your book put in a box like that?
Yes, definitely. That can really be a good way to get your book out there. And those influencers are really good people to network with and collaborate with, and you would each be doing each other a favor with really good content to go into their subscription box and then their audience that they have available to promote.
Wow. Okay, well, you've definitely given me some real clarity today and a little bit of a strategy. Elle, thank you so much for your time. If somebody wants to reach out to you, they've watched today's interview and they go, I really need your help, where can we get hold of you?
You can go to my website, which is fullybookedauthor.com. Also have some freebies available to download.
Great. What kind of freebies are they? What can we expect?
I'm putting together a whole raft of guides and mini books to help with all sorts of questions and answers and processes and kickstarting the whole process. So there'll be a new guidebook coming through every week.
Something to keep an eye on. And you also said you were launching some individual courses for people to help them gain the knowledge to publish their own books.
The Fully Booked Author package is how to come up with the idea, how to write it, how to edit it, and then the publishing process. So designing your book cover, designing the interior, and then producing the files and the ebook and doing the whole publication process. Also, your VA can come into all of the different segments and learn how to help you behind the scenes.
Fantastic. And all of that on your website, fullybookedauthor.com.
That's right.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time. Thank you to our audience as well for joining us today. This has been another edition of Heads Over Heels. I'm your host, Angela Sedran, and we'll see you in our next episode.